even. That's just what
We
made me
are
laugh when
going.
I got.
We are
That's the
going
shit that made
live.
me laugh.
Yeah, we're gonna do this up, man. So, welcome to the late sesh. Here we go. Uh, Red was just telling me a great opening story, and I was
I'm
asking
trying
him
to hold
how
my
his day
composure,
was,
guys.
and I said, "Well, we could go back and forth between good news, bad news. You know what I mean? I've had a really good day. Red's had a rough one." And he says, he just starts laughing uncontrollably. And he says, "Well, where do you want me to begin?" So, I figure it's just, we're going to ease into this. We're not going to dive off the high board to start this thing. But nope, I was wrong. Red, how you doing tonight?
Sorry, man. Let me hold my composure here real quick. Chat, cannabis community, late sesh community. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Groskies? Skobo, here you're having yourself a nice day. That's awesome, man. I'm
Yeah,
always
man.
having a nice day, aside from what's going on. It was a beautiful day. The weather here in the lovely Mitten was sun shining. Man, I really can't complain as far as the weather goes because it's 75. I mean, dude, it was a wonderful day. We've had some serious heat waves the last couple of weeks, and this was
I
not one of
know.
them. So, um, well, how was your day, man? Let's get into it. What's going
Dude,
on with you?
I've had a good one. I started off, was making jokes about the Skilbo Wake and Bake Sesh series of the Traveling Wake and Bake. So I started my day over with Abolished and Miss Cannibal. So that was cool to be able to sit down with them and catch up. And then the next part of my leg of my trip, I went and seen Select Fino and was over there. Definitely had some really killer dabs over there. The smoke is phenomenal. And rang in 420 over there with them. Great time, great guests. Uh, and then I flew over and I seen Narwhal. So I got to sit down with him and we had a nice smoke session and everything else. So it's been a great day, man. A lot of driving, but it's a good time.
Sounds like there's all kinds of information stories to pick your brain on right there. I like it, dude. I was a little bummed out. I wasn't able to come hang out. I live so close to Abolish, and I probably could have been part of that Wake and Bake tour. I was already gone. I think by the time you were even near our area, I had to. I've been up north for like, I don't know. I was up north for 3 nights, 4 days, something like that, and I was away from the farm for a solid 6 days, and like six is the absolute limit that I like to go. I give myself like a week on reservoir time and things like that, but I don't like to go any more than like 4 or 5 days, to be honest. So, needless to say, I stepped away from the grow for this weekend, and I had a lot of excellent things to really talk about as far as this weekend goes. Hanging out in the pine forest, excellent alpha pinene, beta pinene terpenes floating through the air, just engulfing my senses and my the entourage effect with the massive amounts of cannabis that we were consuming in the woods, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience, man. I'm going to keep that one pretty short and sweet because there's so much more to kind of talk about tonight. So I downsized my reservoir. I guess we can get into that. We'll start with the very, very most recent thing that got me giggly. So we have like a hole in our siding on the side of the house. We got like the fascia. It needs to be replaced. I got to get somebody over here to really replace it. In this past winter, we didn't get a chance to get it fixed, right? So we got some bunk mates in here. We got some renters from us, and they
Some
unfortunately
squatters?
are some squatters, dude, and they're
Yeah,
and they're
man.
not wanting to pay any rent. First, it was a couple squirrels. We have some vaulted ceilings, so they're in there playing slip and slide all night. You can just hear them slipping, sliding around, and we kind of we dealt through the winter, and we're gonna get it all taken care of. And then there was a little mouse issue that we had to kind of take care of. This little mouse issue. I think I spoke about it. They even decided to ravage some of my cannabis seedlings and things like that I had going for my vegetable garden, and it's always something, right? Well, Miss Red, I get home after this, we'll just call it long day of work in the garden, and she says, now we have a raccoon buddy up there trying to get in. So I couldn't help but just break down into laughter and crack up just moments before jumping into the show here. Literally just walked in the door and showered up real fast. It's been kind of a long, crazy day. So, Scobo, back to you on the Wake and Bake tour. So
Yeah,
let's,
man.
how was Abolished first stop?
Awesome as always. Always a good time, good smoke. Um, and it's like we're friends. It's not just like, hey, I'm gonna go smoke with this person that I know their screen name and all that good stuff. So, um, as always, when I go over there, I have my little favorite things that I get to try. I was really hoping that there would have been maybe a little bit of Rainbow Driver left over there, but no dice, home slice. So let's go back to the Red Setter Farm Slip and Slide Animal Activity Center that we've got going on. We're going to swing it back that way now.
So I apologize. I'm working on trying to get into chat the best I can. I almost have it sort of pulled up, but then I got to make sure my YouTube's muted and all that fun stuff. If you
Well,
are participating in chat tonight, I hope you go up to where it says top chat or live chat. Make sure it says live chat for a better chat experience with us. And while I ramble about that, I'm gonna pop out chat so I can get in
okay.
here. And
While
once
you
I
do
stop
that,
talking, I'll say hello.
well, let's
No, I
go
want to.
through.
I'm gonna. Yeah, go ahead, Scribble.
We got
Give some
33
shout outs.
people, and I want to start right at the beginning. And I want to say cheers to Matthew Dickinson, to Alaskan Dabbers, Don Silent, Trey Valone, Hoss, what's happening? Beardman Farms, Cody, how you doing tonight? Green Nugs 420 always here. Cheers, brother. Paul Japan, good day to you as well, sir. And to Bagseat, hi, how you doing tonight? Ned Denver, cheers. Scroggy, always coming through, throwing up the deuces. Jack, always good to see Jack. It's not so late for him over there. Uh, Fresh Cut, how you doing today? We want to see the Greed House soon. Matty Fresh, yo yo, what's up? Tara Wilson, you knew you were coming through. Rick, how's it going tonight? And let's see, is that abolished? He's on the what's up. It's his favorite show, so he had to come through and see us. Ick, how you doing? Coming in from Ohio as well. Hopefully, she will be coming up for the get together next time. Who else do we have this evening that's rolling? We got 40 people. Jeffro, how you doing? Miss C, cheers. I was talking good about you too earlier. APK, what's up? Yeah, this is a good time. We're gonna try to put Red in a better mood. We're gonna give him a little bit of therapy here, and when we hit that 1 hour mark, we'll make sure that we have our hash time all prepared. And like Calgon, that hash will take us away.
Ding, ding, ding. No, I'm already in a better mood, man. Honestly, I got put into a better mood when I got home, and Miss Red told me we had a new housemate after the rest of them have
Well, you're
all moved
spitting,
out.
splitting bills up and shit. You're going, well, we're going on easy street now, babe. We're cutting this thing 5, 6 ways.
The way I look at it, this one's got the body mass of at least like 5 or 8 to 20 squirrels. I mean, he owes us a little bit extra rent. No, man, like so the beginning of spring, squirrels seem to have left, right? And it was great. It was an awesome happening. We're not gonna have to worry about doing any trapping, just a little cleanup and a little fix up that hole once the whole COVID thing got over and we had some the ability to get some people over the house and things like that. Well, okay. So then the mouse comes along. Well, a couple mouse traps later, that kind of eased the issue of that one. So I guess I am going to get an animal trap now. So I'm going to be doing
So do
some
you think the
trapping
mouse
here.
came through the fascia soffit as well?
No, the mice came. The mice came in. I w-
They came in through the front door. They
No,
came
they
in
came in.
through the
So I
bathroom
found where they're
window.
coming in. They came in through a hole where the air conditioning line comes in. I actually
Mm-hmm.
have a can of spray of expandable foam to fix that. I have not had the time to get out there and get that. I have a couple of little spots that need fixed up. So that's like an afternoon job. So I was out there kicking around my air conditioner, trying to figure out why my home AC doesn't work because the home AC doesn't work currently, hasn't worked for a couple of weeks. That was the AC works, the air conditioner works. I have a leaky air conditioner because I burned out my furnace bypassing a sensor. in the
Oh,
freeze, most recent freeze. You know, it probably could have just gone without the furnace had we not have had that last like little, I don't know if you want to call it polar
push. Yeah.
vortex or ice age or whatever the hell we had. You know, right there like the end of March, middle of April, whenever that was.
Yeah.
We were doing great. We didn't even have the heat on for like a week or two, you know, and then all of a sudden that came, and sure enough, you know, the furnace went and had to do that bypass trick, and so I melted the pan under there, and so water's all over my floor. So I fortunately, man, my old roommate, awesome dude. He's actually went and got his HVAC license, and he's all licensed up and helping out, working for a lot of uh, commercial grow ops in the area, which is really cool. And so, fortunately, he has experience around plants and things like that. And he's
Bro,
slowly getting his feet wet on how to basically help
getting his feet
design
wet.
HVAC systems.
Getting
What's
his
that?
feet wet. Getting his feet
He's
wet
getting his
over
feet wet.
at Red Setter Farms. I thought you were going to tell me that the next move was you were going to capitalize on your misfortune by making the Red Setter Farm Animal Activity Center ice rink by running the AC. Since the heater was on the kaputs, if we could have just got it timed just right, we could have got that ice rink going, man. And
I could have. I should have just
just
fired
don't
up the
have the
AC back
insurance, the
then.
riders for it.
Could have fired up the AC. It could have flooded my basement. I could have rocked without the heat for a couple of days, and then totally had all of the raccoons, squirrels, and mice over here
All right.
doing the ice capades. I did it
See? I mean, there's always next
with
season,
all seen Disney on Ice back in the 80s, right?
extravaganzas. So
So,
what are we gonna smoke? Red, what are you gonna smoke first?
so I'm,
I've
I'm
got all
breaking up
kinds of
some
shit.
grape glee right now. Some anxiety lifting grape glee. Some end of the day, good day. You know, I've been smoking Rainbow Driver all day just because it's been a non-stop go, 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 fix this, move that, shift this, tweak that, um, in an environment that, I mean, fortunately, it was only like 70, 75 degrees today because the environment that I was working in was pretty rough. I'm not even going to get to that part yet. So,
We're
you know,
moving too
the
far
house, the
ahead.
whole housemates thing. Yeah. I mean, that's just, I mean, we're just kind of kicking around while I'm rolling this joint right now with the whole housemates thing. So the air conditioner on the house has been on the fritz for a few days, which does affect my growing if we want to dial us into our cannabis talk, because I have propagation
Abolished
and
OG.
misreads. Oh, I like that there. And misreads propagation plants. They are here. So unfortunately, without the home AC, my veg, usually this time of year I keep the door open in my bedroom, and I allow like the house be nice and cool to kind of help cool it, and I don't have an air conditioner in there, supplemental air conditioner in there, just a few T5 lights in there. Well, you know, the house is upwards of 85 degrees during the middle of the day right now, and it's actually almost cooler in the grow room with the fans running. So I do have a blower in that grow room, and it exhausts the air. So, but needless to say, the home AC has been out for all this wonderful hot, you know, southern weather, that with like this Caribbean air that we've been kind of getting blasted with, this southern weather. It's a little unique for us this time of year. So it's been kind of hard. Anyways, I don't want to drift too far down the home AC rabbit hole, considering all of the other
We're gonna
nice
let
little
that
things.
rest for now. We'll let you walk away from it. And in the
So here's
meantime, I'm gonna
yeah,
pick back
Scuba,
up. We
pick
got
back up on your
56
wake and
people.
bake tour.
Well, I want to hit through first because the last time I stopped, since then, Mike Jones and Debbie Daly, Double A. Uh, let's see, is it Tonya like Bologna? And we have who else has joined us through here this evening? Spartan Grown's in the house. What's up, brother? And Kzu Kush, good to see you again as always. Yeah, man. So I just am grinding up a little bit of this abolished OG that was grown by abolished and Miss C. It's always nice when you and you're growing something and you can smoke it from somebody else because there's always like a difference to it. And cheers, Rick. How you doing tonight? Yeah. So I'm gonna do that. Reels, how's it going? Yeah, man. So I hope that everybody out there is able to pack a bowl right now, roll up a joint, heat up, get your dabs ready. Uh, it's time to unwind. Let the day be done.
Finally
Nice.
got this grape glee fired up, Scobo. I'm feeling good, man. Finally
See?
home. I was racing to get back before the show too. I was trying. So I almost got the grass cut today out there. That has honestly been an effort the last probably like week. Um, like I said, I was trying to get out of town last week, which involved me trying to get the rest of my cannabis garden planted. I wanted to get that planted before I went out of town. Shout out to my in-laws, my parents. Uh, they all helped take care of the gardens while we were gone. The indoor veg propagation. They went ahead and watered it up for us while we were gone. They went ahead and took care of the outdoor while we were gone. I had a lot of seedlings, corn, sunflowers, squash, all different kinds of seedlings that really, really needed attention. As most seedlings always do for the first couple of
It's
weeks
hard
until
to
they can
tear
get
yourself away
established.
from things right now at this
Dude,
time. You know what I mean? Like
it was
it's rough.
I had a lot of faith in who was taking care of it, so I didn't worry too much. But yeah, man, it was the sunflowers and the corn play a big role because they're my privacy fence around the perimeter of my cannabis garden, and then as well as within, you know, the co-planting part of it. So they're kind of a big deal in there. I like to keep a little bit of discretion. I do live in residential, and I only have a 6 foot privacy fence, so I'd like to be able to grow some decently large plants if I can. Without any. What's kind of cool is a neighbor about 2-3 doors down. He built this really cool, like, looks like a 4 walls out of plywood, 8 feet tall. The whole thing. It sticks up 2-3 feet over over the neighbor's privacy fence. A couple doors
Right?
down, no top on it. You can totally tell it's just an outdoor wooden cage. Is basically what he made with no top. So I have a feeling he may or may not be growing something in there this year. So it's kind of
Something
what I would be
surreptitious.
doing with
Yeah,
that,
man.
anyways. Yeah,
Yeah.
in there, or maybe a little man cave with a huge giant skylight, I guess. So
Yeah. It's a sun tanning booth. Welding. It's a welding thing. That's what it's
it's a
for.
welding booth. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Welding
Definitely,
curtains
definitely.
for
But
sure.
I honestly, man, I do hope that he's got a little fragrances coming up over the fence. Because in between
As long as
he
he
and
doesn't have
I
a little bit of pollen coming over that same
I was
fence,
gonna
that's
say
what
that
we're worried
next too.
about.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, as
man.
long as he knows what he's doing over there and not throwing some males my way. I guess I'll find out. I guess it would be instant karma considering that a little bit of breeding that I did last year. I
Yeah,
suppose I
you
have
might have
built some
been somebody else's bomb in their garden.
potentially. Yeah, potentially. So,
It's all kinds of
I
red
guess it's
sitters
owed
out
to
there.
me. The what's kind of cool is my neighbor that's in between both of us. They used to have a grow room in their like basement and whatever. They used to have the panda film up on their window, and every now and then the panda film would fall, and it would look like a spacecraft sitting in their, basement and stuff. So they got the grow room going down. So it's like pretty much my whole block is just loaded with growers, which is kind of cool. And I
Mhm.
don't even think any of us have even talked about it to each other. So
That's cool too, though.
a lot
The
of
last thing
discretion.
you want, well,
Yeah,
there's the
everybody kind of keeps
potential
himself.
for, yeah, there's discretion side of things. There's the also the contamination thing. Let's say that I'm a shitbag grower and I live on your street, and I don't know
Mhm.
what the fuck I'm doing. The last thing you want to do is get all chummy with me because you may be taking something as a hitchhiker home with you.
Yeah, totally. Totally. All it takes is for a nice little hangout on the front porch, and sitting
Yep.
in somebody's chair.
You're
And
passing
yep,
more than a joint,
yep.
right?
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Passing the
Absolutely.
cooties.
Yeah, they are real too, man. They're microscopic. Can't even see them.
So
Dude, speaking of ticks, still this year. So yeah, up north they were really bad, but even still around here, the got to give a shout out to my buddy, my old roommate, my HVAC guy who's helping me out. Ended up getting a tick on him on my behalf, hanging out on my property. So got to take care of all of that stuff. Get those ninja toads going. I still believe that they're gonna work. So now that I'm back from vacation and everything, I'm gonna treat my lawn, my indoor, especially once I get to the end of the story, you'll know I've been kind of in and out of the grow room and like the yard, and not really the yard, but like just kind of outside of my shop and stuff. I precautions I normally take weren't really adhered to today, you know, specifically just because of the way that the day's logistics kind of went. And again, we'll kind of get into it, but
I got a good question for you. It's like an
what's up, man?
interviewer's question. It's a
Yeah,
legitimate
yeah.
one. So, as someone who does more than just farm cannabis, you farm multiple things. You've had to walk away from it for a minute. Your plan this time was to not automate your watering, but to actually bring in help to do it. Now, how do you catch up on things? Like when you fall too far behind, you personally, how do you try to catch back up without, I don't know, what's the red setter way, is what I'm getting at. Are you just going to try to grind everything out and do it all at once? Are you going to be patient and say, okay, hey, look, I know I can't get it all done in one day. It's going to be a gradual process and it's going to put me back on time. And, are you that dude or are you the other guy?
I put in as much effort into a day as I'm capable of. I try to multitask as much as I can, and I also try to prioritize tasks as best I can. So by prioritizing, that means keeping life alive comes priority number one, and that means like making sure that water is being adhered to, things like light cycles, and just like simple little environmental things like that is always priority number one. After that comes you know, a lot of other things like cleanliness and making sure that I'm adhering to the no shoe in policy, you know, just little things like that. I guess if you want to get into like how I operate by myself, it's by running on perpetual and not filling a complete room and harvesting a complete room all at once and only doing like sections at a time basically is. And that's throughout the entire thing. That's taking clones only sections at a time. That's only taking a few clones rather than my full 72.
Right.
Sitting there taking 72 clones is a daunting task. Sitting in there pruning 72 plants is a daunting task. If you're going to harvest 72 plants, it's not just a daunting task, it's a time consuming task. Like all of these tasks, none of it's really daunting. It's all like I do it because it's fun. It's always been a great hobby of mine. So
I
I don't
think
want
it
to call it
stops being
daunting, but it's
fun
just
after
time
the
consuming.
70th one in a
Mm,
row. I think it stops
mm-hmm.
being so much fun maybe in
And
the
those last two,
60s.
you're like anxiously trying to
Oof.
get them done, you know, and you may mess up on something doing that, you know, the speedy approach or whatever. So for me, it's quality over quantity always first, and uh, you know, taking my day as it goes. So like for example, prioritizing grass cutting is on the list. Like it's something that needs to be done, but at the same time, it is it's something that okay, I need to
You're
cut. You have to cut grass because you got to get rid of rodents and stuff like that. You don't want
right.
like, you know, trash a yard. You don't want ticks and all these other pests and things. But at the same time, uh, you know, if it's got to get put on the back burner, it's got to get put on the back burner. So I kind of I'm just using that as an example, right? Because some things
Yeah.
like pruning, for example, if it's got to get put on the back burner sometimes because I have to like do other tasks like watering or maintaining life,
Right.
that has to
Well,
be done
I
first.
think
So
the key is that no matter how we, a Daddy Red's in the chat, no
hey,
matter
what's going on,
how
Daddy Red?
we choose to approach this,
Cheers.
is you have to not let it overwhelm you. You can't let it make you make hasty decisions or bad decisions. Or, let's say that I'm really behind because not because I'm busy, let's say I've been sick. Okay. So when I finally do come back online with it, I'm still not firing on all cylinders. And maybe I put something into flower without having taken a good cut of it yet. Maybe the clones fail. Now I'm at the point where I can really panic, and one small mistake can lead to a cascade of other bad mistakes off of it. So um, I guess what I'm shooting for is do what you can get done to your standards, and you should always be trying to raise your standards for yourself, not because your buddy might come by and see that there's an errant leaf on your plant or there's some dead shit or what have you. You're doing it because you recognize that it needs to be done, and you the order of operations of it. You know, I can sit there and I can play the tennis kid from the U.S. Open, and as soon as a leaf hits the ground, I can sprint across the front of the net, snatch that leaf up, and then go wait on the other corner and wait for another leaf to fall. But in the meantime, if I'm not paying attention to the reservoir is empty that's going to be watering this shit, I'm going to really get busy when all the leaves start dying and falling off and the plant's dead. But, hey, there's no leaves on the floor. So I'm just making a joke, obviously, but, it's sometimes you can focus on one thing a little too much.
Yeah, and you'll put all of your like eggs in one basket, so to speak. You know what I mean? Which I try not to do. I try to like bounce around, try to get a few tasks done a little bit everywhere, every day. And that's kind of how I get it all complete. I'll wake up in the morning, I'll get a little bit of trimming done, and then I'll go work out I'll probably actually do some watering and some maintenance in my propagation and veg room, and then I'll go into my outdoor garden, and then I'll go shower, and then I'll go out to production, and I'll get work done there, and then whatever I can get done there, I'll finish in my outdoor at production. You know what I mean? So it's all
Yep.
these series of steps to eliminate other extra additional steps in the future, like having to take care of a pest problem because I brought it in because I was in my tomato garden, and then I was negligent and drove right out to production and brought all
Yep.
my mites out to production with me. You know
Oh,
what I mean? Little things like
bro.
that. And then
Mm,
now I don't have enough time because now I have to manage 3 extra tasks,
sure.
right? So, and that's where I laugh and stuff when like the raccoons move in and things, because there's always these extra additional tasks on top of.
There's always some bullshit.
Yeah. In recent, one of the other ones, aside from the air conditioning going out, and then the furnace going out, the furnace went out, and then the AC went out, and then the my car battery died. So it was like, boom to boom to boom, mice, squirrels, raccoons, and so now I laugh, right? So today I decided to downsize my reservoir. So here we go. So I almost got around to cutting the grass, and I had a good couple hours left, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get a good chance to hit this nasty perimeter that I didn't get a chance to get to last week, and get rid of, maybe get rid of some of these ticks and things. And um, sorry, my phone's going off. Let me silence my phone before we go any further.
Red soapboxes.
So yeah, dude. So so I got a good couple hours after I finally button up through this whole extravaganza of the day, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna cut the grass, I'm gonna smoke one, and I'm gonna relax on the lawnmower. It's something I actually enjoy doing. I really enjoy mowing grass. It's a terpene thing, I suppose, and so I'm gonna kick it. Well, while I'm filling reservoirs, I noticed a little bit of water on the ground, but I was vigorously mixing, and I'm like, well, maybe a splash, and
Splash
I
some.
and I
Yeah.
got a little big puddle, So I cleaned it up, and well, I got my grass cutting clothes on, which I'd already kind of been outside in, so they were already a little bit dirty, and I didn't want to bring them back in my grow room. I got my boots on and everything. I'm ready to. I got the lawnmower filled up and tires filled
You're
up and
right
everything,
there,
ready
man.
to rock. And I'm about to jump on the sucker. And I'm like, you know what? I just want to check that puddle again and just make sure that it was me splashing. And dude, chaos. I believe in chaos. I think it's Ian Maxwell from Jurassic Park. It's one of my favorite characters ever, dude. Chaos just it for some reason forever and always in my life, dude. So I go and I always double check, and I always have safety backups, this, that, and the other, just because chaos exists, right? So I open the door, I peek in there. Sure enough, that puddle's back. And I'm like, all right, I wasn't mixing anymore. Time to declaw. All right, so I take off the boots, take off the pants, pop back in my shorts, bare feet and all, and pop back in the room. And I'm looking, and I'm on the ground. Puddle's pretty big at this point. And I can kind of see the reservoir's got a
It's like
fraction
leaping
of an
out of
inch.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh fuck. So I'm hoping it's up towards the top. I'm starting to feel around. I'm looking, getting towards the bottom, and I'm looking down inside my res, and I see a little white spot. Let me mind you, this is not a hydroponic reservoir. This is a green recycling trash can.
Yep.
That I'm
Hmm.
temporarily using until I can, you
Which
know,
is pretty thick plastic typically.
and it has worked for a good few years now, and
Okay.
it's maintained very, very well, so I'll give it some credit that far. But needless to say, I think that it does. I mean, it's like recycled plastic, and it's almost like pressed, what would you call, like processed wood or something like that, where I think it's porous. and eventually I think it's just going to, so I think the next phase is to kind of go back through and redo all my reservoirs before this happens to all of them. But anyways, I noticed a little leak, and before I left for another day, or not be able to get back for 2 or 3 days, I just decided to bail out my reservoir. And fortunately I had like a 15-gallon tote sitting around, so I kind of filled that up, and I had to do a little modification with the drain, with
Is it one of the
the
black
pump and
totes?
stuff.
The
It's
black
one of the
totes
little
with the yellow
black totes,
tops?
yeah, with
Yeah.
the
Right.
yellow top, yeah. And I was actually using it for like a triple sink for scrubbing. I have 3 of those little 15-gallon ones that I set out, and
It's
I
a
use it as
low
a triple
tide boy,
sink.
right? It's kind of a low
I
tide
bel
boy.
No, I don't know. It's a
It's
little
not that
tall, but
big.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not that, yeah, it's not huge. Um, they're little 15 gallons. So anyway, the garbage can itself was 40, 45. So I had to do a little bailing out, filled that sucker up, did some modifying. I had it plugged into my timer, so the plug wasn't just, I mean, there was water all over my floor and everything. So the option was plug it into the 6 strip and turn it on, or keep it plugged into the timer, which was off at the time, while everything's unplugged and I'm filling around. Good thing I was about to wheel out the garbage can and be out of the room when the timer kicked on and created a fountain effect in my grow. Skilbo, you ever turn on the sauce mixer, and pizza sauce mixer, and you just engulf your entire workstation in pizza sauce? That's kind of what
Yeah.
happened today
When
with
somebody
the
doesn't know what
nutrient solution.
setting to hit the Hobart on, and she just walks right up the walls. Yeah.
So I covered my walls and my I actually didn't get all the way to the ceiling, fortunately, but it covered my walls, covered me pretty much, and most of my floor in a good couple gallons of nutrient solution that I then had to clean up. Mind you, I'm
Red, you better smoke some more of that, man, because you need this after this
not
kind of
getting the
day.
grass cut at this point, right?
Dude, M Hunter, hash time. I see you out there. Who else has joined us that
I agree
I
with
had
that.
noticed about? I was rolling back up earlier, trying to keep my spot here. Y'all are killing us with the chat. We got 75 people. I hope that all of you have had a good day and you are getting to unwind and burn one with us right now. I'm smoking on some Abolished OG, courtesy of Abolished and Miss C, who I got to hang out with earlier today for my part one of a three-part wake and bake. And I feel for you, Red, because there's never enough time in the day, and it's stuff like that that can really throw a wrench into it and get you down. But that's where the good smoke comes in. Sometimes you just got to stop. You got to back up and punt. Uh, you know that if you were running a 40-gallon res, 45, and you stepped it down to a 15, one thing's for sure that you should bank upon is that you'll have to do 3 times as many checks on the res to make sure that it doesn't get pulled dry. And that's the first thing that you might forget about, because you're so overwhelmed with all the other things. And I think that's where, like, I'm not trying, I mean, dude, I get it. I'm not young, but that's where I use my phone a lot of times, is to set reminders for things and try to plan things out instead of always, trying to just remember myself. Dude, there's an app for that. Fuck it.
Yeah, at this point, the 15-gallon tote is officially a temporary overnight solution, just so I could basically get home, get on the show here.
So what are you gonna do? What are you
Bounce.
gonna run?
Uh, well, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to source a actual like hydroponic reservoir. I'm going to try to
Okay,
find something that is
like the Botanicare one,
within
the
that
white
same
ones.
kind of like size range, like 50. I'd like some, honestly, I'd like 50 to 70, 50, 100 gallons would be great if I could get it in a doorway. They need to be like 30 to 34, 36 inches in diameter is the issue. Anything like an IBC tote just won't fit in my rooms, right? They could fit outside my rooms. The issue outside my rooms is it's not heated and it freezes in the wintertime.
Right.
Maybe some fish heaters or something. There's some modifications that can be done in the future, right? So IBC totes are pretty much the end goal is where I'd like to go. So that's why I didn't really want to invest too heavily into some expensive hydroponic gear. But I guess if I have to, it's for my bedroom. And I actually needed to I'm upgrading my bedroom, and I needed to add an additional reservoir in there anyways.
I think it's great that you're talking about this because today in my travels, I ran past one of my favorite stores that is not cannabis related. It's like restaurant equipment related. So I'm always buying new shit. But I went in there today because last night in my stoned Amazoning, I ended up finally pulling the trigger on a blue mat system. So I decided to buy it's a blue mat 4x8 bed kit where you have the blue soaker hose. There's four of those. It has two carats. One is a 5 inch. The other one is a 9. So that's going to help me with the deep penetration on the water. Hey, there's your quote for the night: the deep penetration. That's your cue, Red. If you got the soundboard,
He said penetration.
there. So basically, I got that, and then there's like a truncheon style blue mat. It's like a moisture meter that you stick into the soil, and after an hour, few, it'll tell you the level. It's going to help me dial that all in. And I say all that to say this: when I was at this restaurant place, I bought, like when you get like a Lexon, the white Lexons that you mix things in. So there was a 20, I think it was a 27-gallon one with the lid. So it's the National Science Foundation. It's food safe. Everything's good with it. And then all I have to do is I'm going to have to put these little 8 millimeter bulkheads in, where you just drill a 1/2 inch hole, put the bulkhead in, tighten it all down, and then that's going to feed the blue mats. So I pulled the trigger on that today, and I'm listening to you tell me these horror stories of the DIY world. And I think what it comes down to is
I
if
don't
you're
think the
DIYing,
Lexon would fail you like that though, man.
I don't
I
know,
mean, I
dude.
know they eventually crack and shit. But usually that's because they're being beaten up and thrown through
Yeah,
the
heating
ringer
and
and
cooling and shit.
flushes and shit. I mean, Lexon's excellent material, man. I'm a huge fan of Lexan.
I just knew
To be
you would
honest,
you
in
would
the
remember what they
kitchen
are.
space and the
Yeah.
clean, like as far as like food grade space goes. Storage wise, Lexon's
Oh
good
yeah.
material.
So I'm going to give that a shot. I'm going to see how that works for me. I always have a plan though. Like if anytime that I'm going to do a DIY project like that, I always want to have something that I can use in a failsafe. So I will not throw the other one that I've got away. I'll hold on to that in case I need to use it. So especially when it comes to water and shit like that, you don't want to just fly by the seat of your pants.
I was warned. I was warned about this. My homie used to use them. He was like, the reason we kind of stepped away from them was one time we just got a crack down the seam, and we came in 50 gallons of water on the floor. And I was like, here's the funny thing, Scobo, is a couple weeks ago I accidentally misset my timer where I accidentally normally there's like 8 functions on my timer, and I only have like 7 of them set. Well, I accidentally triggered the button on the 8th function, so and I didn't want to reset the entire thing, right? So I was like, well, let me set a time. I should have set 1 second or 3 seconds, so it just and then shut off, right? But I left it at 0, which actually meant 24 hours. So yeah, and so I leave for my normal couple of days off, right? So I come back and there's a completely empty reservoir. Now it didn't go for 24 hours. It was at 10 a.m. So it went for a couple hours until the next setting told it to shut off, kick on and shut off, which was like noon. So it went for a good 2 hours, a couple of days in a row. Completely drained my res the first couple of days, and I come in and my floor is actually dry at this point, but I can see the stains everywhere, and all my sauces are completely full. Reservoir's completely drained. I'm like, all right,
At least you're not
I
dead.
got everything turned up too high. I don't know what I did, so I tweaked everything, and then I leave and I come back and it did it again. And I'm like, oh fuck, all right, what the fuck's going on? I go back through my things and I notice that issue, so I fixed it. Come back to now, and there's a hole in the reservoir, so I just cannot keep water off of my floor for the life of me right now. This 2 weeks running just solid, and then on top of that, every time it rains, I have a dude of a chemistry.
Here he goes. He's gonna crack up again on me. Baby, come back. Don't go so far.
There's a couple other little leaks and issues, and I keep getting water that comes in when we get these big
That's just
storms.
frustrating, isn't it?
Dude, it's huge. It's gnarly frustrating. This is the bedroom. So, and I'm used to at the shoulder seasons getting a little bit of water in my rooms because the ground's so saturated from winter that when we get all of that rain, it just naturally just comes in, and I'm able to bail it out no problem. But now it's for whatever reason, I don't know if it's gutters or what it is. So I have to check gutters. I have to check
bro.
sealants around conduits going in and out of the building, seeing if there's access or leaks coming in. So I'll figure it out. I'm not too worried about that. That's all side story. But damn, man, if I just can't keep water off this floor. So, anyways, got it figured out with the little 15-gallon tote right now. I'm gonna switch over and try to figure out. I see. I really wanted to shout it out because I saw it was a great like kind of hack Kazoo Kush with the camper RV junkyard or just camper supplies in general. I think that I might actually look that
Okay.
route, try to find something. I might be able to find something tall and narrow in that regard. So food grade, the whole nine. So
Okay.
I think that's not a bad deal. So otherwise, I might just get a new reservoir for my stock tank and then just temporarily use my stock tank because it's the same 45-gallon trash can and just it'll probably begin to fail anyways because it's the same age. Okay, so Skilbo, I really, really, really wanted to be there today with you guys, man. And I really knew because I had been 6 days out that I had to get to the farm,
Yeah.
check on it as early as I could. There was some, I had to get today's watering done, take care of actually a few patient orders this morning. And then, so I get to the farm thinking, hey, I'm going to fill some reservoirs and I'm going to cut the grass and bring home like, a load of patient product, not really think much of it.
Have an easy day
Scobo,
back. Nope.
yeah.
Not
What?
today.
Well, here we'll get into what I got to after you tell me how was your next stop after what I missed at Abolish, which I wish that I had
Oh, when I went to
I
Selects?
couldn't
Oh,
have
dude. It was
made it
awesome,
over there.
man. Yeah, it was awesome. I came over and they were doing a hash wash. So, I get like super excited about that. There's a couple of things I can do. I love watching people that blow glass. That's like, there's a lot of YouTube channels for that and stuff, and I really can get into that. And watching people make hash by hand. This wasn't the
Nice,
washing machine.
nice.
This is the big wooden paddle like you would use. The same restaurant place.
Yeah,
You know how
dude.
you get the gigantic like 5 foot tall one.
It's
So
on my list of sourcing from the beer store when I go get multi
yeah,
barley. Definitely,
yep.
definitely.
So I was watching them and they were really really on point with it, and they were doing oh shit, what the it wasn't sweet tarts, it was something like that though, and I can't remember. Somebody in the chat may know. It sounds like that.
Was it
Smelled
Sweeties by chance?
no,
Oh,
it was like I don't know, like sleet tarts or some shit. It was cool, but definitely, I had my dab over there, and I always have to preface it with people and say, I've really abused the shit out of my lungs through my life, so I keep dabs around for a long time and shit because I don't do them often. When I do like a crumb. So Select's cool as shit, and his homie was over there too, and I really liked his dude. So good time, and I'm watching him make this hash. I'm looking at it. He keeps he keeps his concentrates in this like little dope ass mini fridge, like super mini fridge, like tabletop, not much bigger than a book. You know what I mean, like PC size. So I mean, everything when you crack the jars is just amazing. So like the sugar cane, I really really like that. Um, what else do I have here that I the purple punch is definitely sweet. The Max Stomper is out of this world, dude. And the other one is everybody always says how I got all these little bags is the animal cookies crossed with Cushman's 11, which ooh so I have the little nugs of each one of those, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys as to which one I'm going to burn for our hash time that is coming up here in 17 minutes. We do it on the hour. Once we get in, we do it at 10 o'clock on the Bros Show. We're trying to start this, so we will do it at our 1 hour mark for the late sesh. I hope everybody is having a. Which one is it? It is Shock Tarts. That be it. Yeah. Thank you, Tara. Uh, it smelled great. So Oh, she said it's her friend stuff. Well, there you go.
So as adamant as I was about getting everybody to select live chat, I finally clicked it myself.
Dude, you say that every week, and I never do it until you say it, but then your dumbass doesn't fucking do it. I love you, bro. Oh, let's see. Who's come through here that I've not said anything to yet? I see that Dirty Query came through a while ago. Cheers. Um, who else is name? M. Hunter. We have who else? I'll just do it randomly as we go through here and interrupt Reg while we do it. So then I left there and I went over to Narwhal's and get to meet his two big ass dogs. Uh, Super cool. And you know, for people that hear us talk about him and we're always joking with him and shit, he's a salt of the earth, dude. What's up? Drum it up, Dank. How you doing, KGB? See, I could do that. I could throw him in there sporadically. But it was nice to sit down with him. He had wanted to have some abolished OG. So when I was over at Abolished House, he actually hand twisted and abolished up and said, "When you see Narwhal, smoke this with him." So it was cool, man. Delta 9, how you doing tonight? Infinity 420 as well. I see y'all. I hope everybody's having a good one. We still don't know what we're going to smoke, so I will give you the choice. Are we going to do, I'll ask. Let's see. Are we going to do the Max Stomper? Are we going to do the Animal Cookies crossed with Cushmans? There's Narwhal right there. What's up, brother? The Sugar Cane or the Purple Punch? I
Yeah,
definitely.
I think chat should take that one, and I think the first strain
What's
to
up,
hit
Davis?
3 of them.
First one to hit 3, ring it up.
Yeah,
Get our interactive going. They've been talking about all kinds of good shit. Um, and for a hash selection tonight, what are we going to do here? What do I think? I think. Well, there it is right there.
I'm gonna do Girls Gone Wild because I think I have some right next to me. Actually, my laptop. Yeah, I do. Sweet. This was the only hash that took up north with us, and I'm gonna smoke something tonight.
So tell me the good part
All
about
right.
the getaway, bro. Okay, so I got
Oh,
them
dude,
both.
the entire getaway was great. Oh, in
I got
the
one for sugar
getaway,
cane. I got one for animal cookies.
um,
I got 2 so far. Okay, keep going. I'm watching chat.
okay.
Trying to multitask
The
as a stoner.
so so we took off Thursday, stayed the night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, came home Sunday. Yeah, I was on the show last night. We came home Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. After like afternoon hike, we went hiking basically every day.
Oh,
Pretty
right
much on
on.
the Asaba River area. Here on National Forest.
Super overgrown, dude. I want to go there so bad. Here on National Forest.
So
That or the Manistee, man.
I'm familiar with the forest in the fall. I'm familiar with
The hunting season, right?
a lot, much less grass, much brown, much more carbon life, a lot less green, a lot less leaves on the trees, a lot less bugs and ticks and caterpillars and the whole nine. So it was really awesome. It was a great time of year to go. We went last year, the very beginning of May, and it was still winter basically up there. There was no snow, but there was also very little like vegetation or nature and bugs and things. So prior to us taking off, I had purchased a new 50 millimeter lens for my camera, and I wanted to, try to dial in that lens and try to dial in, the camera that I haven't really had a good chance to practice with and kind of learn how to work it on manual mode and learn how to mess with lighting and things.
Oh, dude,
The
that's
forest is
so
a
many
great place to
things.
do it, man, because the lighting is constantly changing. And that's something that I noticed. Like I'm trying to take pictures in the forest, is that you'll have your
See,
lighting set and
it's the
it'll immediately change on you.
chiaroscuro, man. It's the play of like
Beautiful
light and
thing.
darkness through leaves and shit. It's awesome.
It's a
You can
beautiful
really
thing,
get the
man.
depth on your pictures there. So, like, it recharged your battery until you came home to the Red Setter Farm Animal Wellness Clinic. an activity center, right?
Yeah, I mean, uh, we have a
We got to
dog,
go
so hopefully
coach.
I don't think it's he's been here. I don't think the raccoon's been here like as a permanent house guest. We just kind of put up this piece of lattice, and I think that this lattice has kind of facilitated its transport, if you will,
Yeah,
like up there. So I don't know, man. Maybe it's the lattice, maybe it's not. Maybe I really need to get the fascia fixed. So fortunately, my buddy is going to be helping me out with a few projects around here, and at the farm and things like that. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe sooner than later he'll be able to give me a hand with this, or at least know somebody who will be able to give me a hand with this, because I just can't reach it, man. I got a really really tall house, and it's way up there. So anyways,
yeah. There's other
not to go
people for
down
that
not to
too.
go down the construction rabbit hole too
Oh,
far.
bro.
I'm gonna get this joint lit. But so up north, man, the pine forest is probably one of my favorite places to go and just kind of hang out and walk and get away from the city. It's really
Yeah,
nice, very very nice. Took a lot of really good pictures. It's it's very cool to see what doesn't grow in the pine forest as much as like in some areas that are like a little more, I guess, deciduous, or I don't know. Um, what pretty much all that's in there is, aside from the pines, is oaks, heavily
oh,
heavily
I dig that, man.
populated with
Yeah,
oaks. But you'll get, dude, just raspberries and blueberries everywhere. Wintergreen. There's lots of really cool stuff to forage for. If you're into that kind of stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if you'd run across some random wild cannabis here eventually once all these hemp fields get going.
oh yeah,
Excuse
yeah,
me.
man. So I made the executive decision. I pulled out the sugar cane. So now it's just a matter of pulling out the pipe.
Well,
Which
let's
one we
see
got?
here. Did chat throw down? I saw
Yeah,
some key punch up there.
they're talking about the prime meds,
Oh yeah.
the pheno on that one. There we go.
So
So
which one did you pick, Scoba?
I am going to roll with the sugar cane. Sugar cane. And since you mentioned old Absalom, there you go.
I love it, dude. It was very fitting, you know, just raining caterpillars. No matter where you looked, it was just raining them.
That's crazy.
Literally walking into them all over the place. Um, Pretty bizarre the way that they would nest in a like a an oak branch or a web of oak branches. It would almost look like a big, giant, nasty spider mite nest. For a couple times, that's what I thought it was until I got up close and realized there were caterpillars basically all over it.
Well, and that's where that's why they say don't plant your outdoor grows under trees if you can find a way not to. Not that they won't get on them anyway. I think I've got probably a 60 to 70% chance because I'm growing in a narrow corridor that is surrounded by super, super tall trees and like wild vegetation all over the place. So we'll see what happens. I go out there every week though, so I can definitely, you know, keep an eye on it, do some damage control possibly. We
Fortunately,
talked
the
about the
pines I have in
flamethrowers
my
last
yard
night.
don't drop these things. And maybe it was because they were in the oaks. Maybe it was the oaks that they were dropping from, and not the pines. To be honest, because I saw the webbing in the oaks. So, but shit, man, caterpillars occupy all kinds of trees and shrubs and shit. They're nasty little fuckers when they get in your cannabis. That's for sure. So specifically, it's what, the middle of June, and that's when in that microclimate these things come to life. So be careful if you're getting your crops going then. It's like perfect timing too. You'd want to be getting your crops in the ground right when they're going to come down and try devastating your crop.
Right. Well, and also, it's not too late to start autos either. You still have plenty of time to get those in. Cheers,
Yeah, I still
handyman.
might. Might pop a couple of those. I don't really have any actual space to do it unless some things kind of call themselves. Kind of toss a
Yeah,
little, I
exactly.
max out my plant count. That
Uh huh.
way, nature takes hold of whatever it does and
We'll we'll
survival of the
check
fittest.
back in. You know what I mean? For sure.
Yeah, man, I like a little survival of the fittest garden.
And for my hash topper on this, I am going with some of your work. This is from the blue line of the red setter. I think that's the one I did last time as well.
I like it. I'm pretty sure that's the aged Apollo 13 blue
I think
line
so
there.
too.
Oh, speaking of Apollo 13, and speaking of survival of the fittest, might as well get into my day. so,
This
so
is
the
round
reason that I
three
was,
of
I guess,
Red's horribly shit-tastic day.
so, so I guess the reason why I felt so anxious to get out to the farm early, I didn't even do the extra planting that I kind of needed to get done, like these extra little sunflowers and a few little herbs and whatnot. Uh, so like, man, abolished. I feel bad. I can't make it out. Skilbo, you were coming to hang out, and I was like, man, it'd be really cool to kick it for a little bit. Man, I gotta get out there. I got so much work. I gotta fill res. I know it's gonna take forever to fill res, and then I gotta cut. I gotta get the grass cut right. So I'm gonna fill res and do some chopping and stuff. And so to the Apollo. So I get out there. I kick out my reservoir and start filling it up and unload my car and everything. And I pop in and do my daily checks on all my rooms and see how happy everybody is. And I walk into Bloom Room 2, and it's normally a very comfortable, like brisk, like right when you walk in there, it's so hot in that barn, and then you walk into the grow room this time of year and it's cool and like all the humidity just melts off of you and evaporates off of you. Feel great. Well, I walked in there, Skillbone. It was just like a blast walking into a volcano. It was 100 degrees in Bloom 2 today because my air conditioner went down. I have no idea
Oh,
when the air conditioner went down. It could have gone down today. It could have gone down yesterday. It could have gone down sometime
were
in
the
the last
pots
six
still wet?
days.
Everything was still
Everything
getting
was still
water.
wet and
Okay.
alive. Everything was okay. The reservoir had been doing its thing. So at first when I get out there, I have a normal like digital clock. I have a regular old digital clock that I've had since I was a little kid. It's probably from like 1990. It's a little clock radio, and has just a digital readout. But when the power goes out, it will blink 12 like a normal digital clock will. So I have that thing specifically to kind of tell me whether or not the power goes out if for whatever reason I don't catch it on any of my devices, right? Because they'll tell me I have satellite internet. So anytime like a storm comes through, I'll lose internet, but I'm not necessarily losing power, right? So if my internet goes out, I don't necessarily know if I lose my power or not. So it's kind of a difficult situation. Sometimes I have to check
Right.
consumers and do the power, the outage map tracking and stuff. So, anyways, I guess the storm came through and I'm looking. I got the blinking flash. I'm like, oh shit, man, I got to go do like timer checks. I'm worried that it happened the day that before we left there was a storm, and I'm worried
It
that
could
that
have
was the
knocked it out
day
then.
and
Yeah.
maybe it knocked out a timer or something. I'm like, oh shit, it knocked out one of my timers. I'm gonna go in there and deal with that plants just like I did last
Red,
July when I
are
tried to
you
go on
reading? Are
vacation.
you reading chat? You
No,
should be
what's going
reading
on?
chat because Abolish is saying that he says we can hang any day or time. Red, you can come over after the late session if you ever wanted to, bro.
Oh hell yeah, cool. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I promise we'll hang, dude, as soon as all of these final loose ends are buttoned up and all these frayed strings are retied and I need to burn them up or something. We'll see what happens. I need to get those suckers nice and tight. These
Red,
so I lost my train of thought, dude. What was happening?
you're getting ready to pack your hash, chillum or bowl or bong. We've got 2 minutes left before we're gonna hit the old
Ding
hash
ding
bell.
ding 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 ding
Yeah,
ding
man.
ding ding
Yeah.
ding ding ding. So everything's alive. I had to make many, many executive decisions today, almost immediately as soon as I got out to the farm.
Yeah.
I called my homie who's already given me an awesome deal and helping me out here at the house in my home and replacing like my whole furnace and my air conditioner and everything. Fortunately, my air conditioner is still good, so I think I'm going to take my home AC and take it out like to production and use it in the future if I need to in like a drying space or a veg space or something, which is kind of awesome. So at least there's a couple like silver linings going on with this whole thing. I'm gonna get an awesome new efficient
Well,
furnace
that's
and air
yeah,
conditioner at the
that's the whole
house.
thing is that you're going to get to the point where there's going to come a season when you don't have an issue and you get to just
Hmm.
basically sit back and watch the farm do what you designed and intended it for it to do. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's got
So
to be frustrating.
it's frustrating. What was more frustrating wasn't it was really hot in the grow room, but the plants were still alive. Fortunately, I have sensors on. Nanolux system has this sensor that what's that?
It is that time.
It is midnight.
It is hash time, halftime hash time.
Let me get this. Oh shit. My hash spoon is elsewhere. It's probably actually right next to me, but I'm not gonna bother. I'm gonna carefully balance with a king palm packing stick and use that as a scooper. See if that happens. Huh? Only spilled a little bit. So so the temperatures were really high and
So it sounds like you're over there stress testing. Basically, you're just trying to
pretty
get
much,
these final phenos that you're looking at and see if they make the cut.
the Death Star is already pretty much kicked. And this is gonna be like the last round that I'm running this
It
Death
doesn't
Star.
deal with heat well at all, dude.
Dude, this thing is gonna go turn into a palm tree. The Apollo 13. Here's the thing though. I'm only on I'm only on like week 5, week end of week 4, week 5, right? So I'm like 30 days in. Um almost to yeah, almost to the day. I'm like 32 days in right now. So they're not really starting to swell yet. They're just kind of forming. So it might not totally palm tree out on me yet. But it's gonna stress out. I have no idea how long the temps have been high in there, and it's keeping it high. And the room's insulated great. It was only like 75 degrees today, but the
Oh, it's
dehumidifier is running. There's fans running, and that air conditioner had been running, kicking on and cycling and
just
everything
throwing heat.
without any freon or without any refrigerant in the lines at all. Basically, without my HVAC, without my buddy having to come in, we were able to narrow it down to there being a leak in the line, and then me finding out where the leak was by listening and hearing it really coming. He had to actually refill it with refrigerant and like
Ooh.
fill it up. It was down like 9 pounds of refrigerant, 8 9 pounds of refrigerant. So filled it up, and I hear it pissing out, dude. And so my sealed room is like it needs to dissipate with refrigerant now. So fortunately, it's going to take a couple weeks for me to get this fixed.
So, are
So
you going to get a
hopefully in
chance?
that time the refrigerant will dissipate out of the rooms and I won't have to deal with any of that.
You know what you need, man. I know that you don't have enough hours in the day, but either after this show or when you do your own private wake and bake in the morning, pick a really kick-ass record out, man. Put it on and just smoke. And I don't even know what album you're gonna pick, man, but I think that could really help you recharge your batteries, man.
Oh no, dude. Battery's already recharged. That was last weekend. I do the record thing often. I recharge myself daily. Skillbo, honestly, man, like this whole like avalanche of like catastrophic events happening, like that's daily. Just a daily run, man. This is just another shit broke, something else broke, and something else gotta get fixed while
Eh,
everything else has to get maintained. Type of day.
there we go.
That's 5 out of 7 days out of the week. You know what I mean? And on the weekends, that's probably in the weekends. But you know, I I take it as it is. Whatever. I gotta get through it. Persevere. So part of the experience of what happened of the executive decisions that had to get made was moving the plants into. Fortunately, the other bloom room was actually empty. I was hoping to load it with the next round that's in veg right now. Fortunately, I hadn't loaded it yet, and I was able to move this round into the other room before it got totally, filled with refrigerant and the whole nine. Unfortunately, 12 a whole like row of plants, three 4x4s basically was under scrognet, so I had to cut them all out. None of them had any strength of them of their themselves, so I had to like stake them all.
Then you have to
This is
try to
all while
reorganize
like
them
my
all.
HVAC guy's out there and I'm trying to get him in the room without bringing outdoor into the room with him, things like that. Eventually I was able to, he was like, well, he eventually had to go and come back another day because it was getting late. So I was able to find the leak and it was in the evaporator, the
Right.
new evaporator. So getting it all figured out, I had to call the actual guy who installed it originally. Hopefully he's going to be able to hook me up with like warranty on it and the whole nine, and it won't be too big of a deal. It'll
There's that
just be a
old
time issue.
saying, dude,
It's a
that
setback.
all's well that ends well, and sometimes people don't. They don't think about that shit. But this is probably going to be one of those instances where it wasn't your intention to fix all of these issues simultaneously, but they were all areas that needed to be addressed in the first place. So it's
Here's the kicker, dude.
the
The
kicker.
kicker is, yeah, there's a kicker to all of this. Prior to taking off, like one of the things in the back of my mind that I was like kicking myself that I wasn't able to get done, just time in a day type of thing, was, on the day that I was going to try to get the grass cut, I was going to spray off my condensers outside because it's cottonwood
Yep.
starting to blow around like crazy. And I'm like, this is the perfect time to get everything cleaned off, sprayed off before I can get out of here. And not getting the grass cut, not getting the condenser sprayed off, it was in the back of my mind. Shit, I didn't get that condenser sprayed off. It's hot as fuck. There's cottonwood like crazy. I really hope that my AC doesn't die at me while I'm gone this weekend. And it's almost like it was one of those like
I got to do
laws
mine,
of
man.
attraction type of things, like I
It
willed
just
it
started
into my
dropping
damn life,
like
I
two
was like,
days
oh.
ago. It just started coming through around here. So, and I have a humongous one next door to us that is like, man, it just drops so much in my yard. It's a pain in the ass.
So I used to have a blast with it when I was a kid. I'd light it on fire. I'm like, that whole thing. But dude, it's a pain in the ass when you get older and you got to start cleaning out all your air ducts and vents. And man, it's a messy little ornamental, isn't it? So in the back of my mind, I was like, I hope nothing happens with my AC. And then come back to it being a different issue. Actually, it's not really. Originally, he thought it had to do with the oh man, I knew what it was called earlier. Fucker thing. The low temp sensing unit, the low temp unit, or whatever the hell it is, make it operate in the middle of winter time. And it used to work. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, it's that," but it was actually just not working because there was no refrigerant
Oh,
in the line.
just need to be
Yeah.
recharged.
So unfortunately, I had to hang out in the room and get the last of the Death Star out after he refilled the line with refrigerant, and I could just
Yeah.
listen to that thing the whole time I'm in the room trying to get it out. And best thing I could think of was to toss a gas mask on, and just try to hang out in there with the, refrigerant pumping away and try to get the last of the Death Star out of the room. But I did get everything buttoned up back into the other bloom room and hooked back up to new lines. It's on a completely different lighting cycle, but again, I have no idea if my lights have even kicked on with the temperature so high. So that's what I was being going
You
to
know,
say. Nanolux.
this is why you really should invest in like a Wise Cam or something like that you can check on your phone, and or some other kind of controller that you can check remotely, so that you can see. I mean, I know it's not free, and it's there's always another added expense in this hobby of ours, but it's not just peace of
Well,
mind.
that's the thing is we were up in the forest and
Now you wouldn't have had a signal anyway, would you?
I don't get
No.
phone signal or internet or anything up there. Yeah, we're completely isolated for like 3 days with nothing. She would be able to Miss Red was able to like send a couple texts here and there, but neither of us were able to like, use any apps or do anything internet wise. And you know, believe it or not, the place we stayed at they like don't have working Wi-Fi. So
So
that
no
kind of sucks.
internet, no nothing. Oh, it's like welcome back to the 1980s, huh?
That's why that place is such kind of like a reset, man.
Yeah,
You get away from like all signals, you get away from social media, you get away from everything except life. You know what I mean? Like, because that's all it's out there. Is there's just tons of life, tons of nature. You know, the good and the bad. I mean, you're kicking it with dragonflies, and then you're swatting ticks at the same time. You know what I mean? It's an experience, to say the least. You know, and that's why I enjoy it. You know, it is. It's a complete reset for me. I definitely get it. You know, a couple times a year. Try to get it at
for
least a
sure.
couple times a year, just because, like I said, you know, this is just another day in my land.
You guys
You
got
know,
the hammocks,
something
man?
malfunctions.
Like the or anything like that? Some kind of hammock?
Oh yeah, we brought a hammock. What'd
Yeah.
you say though?
The
That's all I heard
it's
was
it's a
hammock.
brand, brand, ENO. There's it's a bunch of those nylon ones. I've had them for years. I think I have a and a Grand Trunk. Grand Trunk's nice because it's like longer, and since I'm taller, you know what I mean. Definitely, it's cool to hang out in the hammock and burn one, man. Just like soak it all in.
I really think that there's an entourage effect with all the pining in the air, in the forest up there.
Dude, you know what I'm
Um,
digging? I'm digging these
it's just
wake
an
and bakes that I
elevated
do
experience.
on like the back deck because if you feed the birds, you'll get a shit ton of them. And just to sit out there in the morning in suburbia, I know some people are not that kind of folks, but sit on the deck. You got the birds going. You can hear the traffic. Somebody's mowing their lawn and shit. You just get high as fuck. Good times, man.
Something about being outside, not surrounded by four walls. You know, those four walls make you. It almost makes me
That'll
like
run
if
you
you're
down
like
after a
token or
while.
something, you just plateau so much faster. You know, outside it's just so much more elevating. Maybe it's the fresh air. Maybe it's the nature. Yeah,
Maybe it's Maybelline.
maybe it's Maybelline. Cheers, chat. Cheers, cannabis community. Cheers, tokers. Hope you all have some hash in your bowl right now. It's hash time.
We still got 65 people running deep with us. Let's see who I can see
Very awesome.
that came through that
Cheers.
I have not seen yet. Uh, Great Lakes Grows. Good evening. How are you? Um KGB's Fat Boy. Fresno Nerds. Drumming Up Dank. Good to see you. Who else we got rolling up in here? M Hunter's still always up here. Qwerty's still here. Tara, cheers. Because I love it. Cheers to you. Yeah, man. Matt H, how's it going tonight? Andy, man, I called you out earlier on that. Yeah, it's nice, man. So let's shift up gears here. We just had a nice hash bowl. We've talked all the horribleness that has been your welcome home, but we balanced the scales out because you got to go back out into nature. It's just hard to go from like 0 to 60. You know what I'm saying? Miss D's Nuggets, how you doing tonight? Uh,
Well, I mean, dude, really, it was just a hard working day. There was nothing bad that really happened. There was one casualty. One plant fell apart on me and broke. And I wasn't, at first, I tried salvaging it, and I did salvage it. Pulled one plant out of the matrix, got it out of the room. And when I came back to the room to grab another one, these plants hadn't been staked up yet. And today was actually a day where staking was on the to do list. And half the plant had actually hit the floor. The middle stem had actually split and broken half, and so I tried giving it the old electrical tape wrap, and then I got it up and lifted it out of the room, and then the other half above the electrical tape snapped off.
snapped
And
off.
eventually I was like, you know what, chop chop, and got rid of that plant. So
You'll be mulch for
one
somebody.
casualty. Yeah, one of the Apollos lost. I lost like half the Apollo because that same thing had happened.
Is it usually
Here's the
flimsy
ironic
like
thing
that?
about it. What's that?
Is it usually flimsy like that, or is it just because you pulled it out of the
No,
scrog in
no,
the
it's just
move?
it was just because they were scrogged up, and when I
Yeah.
like lift try to get them on the scrog, half the plant like fell without me being able to like support it, you know, and it was at the part where it was like right at the V, and it just a couple of the other ones, it only a couple of them that actually happened to. But here's the rough thing is that rarely happens that I have to like bandage a plant.
Right.
I've done it many times in the past, but it's been a really long time that I've had to do it. So earlier, just a couple weeks ago, when I was laying the scrog net, I did break one of the Apollo plants, and I went and I had an emergency kit with me, and I grabbed a couple band aids, and I actually put a couple band aids around it because they're breathable and whatnot. So a couple band aids around it and left those suckers on there. So I was all right, cool. And then go to figure out, here I am trying to tie like a whole bunch more plants together with electrical tape and all kinds of shit because I didn't have band aids this time.
Fuck that.
Wasn't even gonna waste them anyways.
No.
So, anyways, one casualty, a couple other branches had broke off just because of the scrog
Okay.
removal. Have no idea the time frame of the heat being
You know
up,
what?
so they
Bef-
may not have had light.
Before we go any further, I will say this: if you happen to break a branch in your flower and you've never had it happen before, don't freak out. The one thing you can do, if it's like the top, you know what I mean, is wait. Come back the next day and see if it really is dead. Sometimes you'll snap the shit out of it and you'll think, oh my God, I broke this thing. And you cut it off and you needn't have. It would have been fine. So I always just take that time to wait and see if it's able to rebound from the break. And there are so many different things that you can do. You can do the fabric, like the tape that they use for oh shit, what is that? They do grafting. You can use grafting tape. You can use duct tape. You can use wood glue. You can use bread ties. You can use zip ties. You can use shoelaces. You can use straws that you cut in half and slide over. Like one of the things I do is if a seedling is really really weak, I'll take a straw and I'll slice it lengthwise with it, and then that opens up, and I can use it as like a coupling that lends support to a really weak seedling. So there's always
I always
a way
love
you
that
can do
tip
it.
that you
Yeah.
gave. Like that sounds like just a good training tip in general.
I had a
Um,
stupid one today at
early
Abolished
growth tip.
is if you have a small scale, instead of just trying to fill up a solo cup and and you're trying to weigh out something that way, what you do is you put the solo cup on the scale, and then you take the, let me see if I happen to have something. In fact, then you take like the big ass container that you have, and you set that on top of the solo cup, on top of the scale, and then you tear it. That way, you're able to fill this beast instead of having to sit there and go through all the other skullduggery and shenanigans. So, did you know that one? No, they didn't. They didn't know that one. I was like, said, dude, I don't know where I picked that one up. That's like years and years and years and years ago. So, mm. Cheers, everybody.
I was like planting my seed, or like if I'm using a solo cup or the very first starter cup that it gets, I only go like a third to a half of the way filled with the media, and then I'll plant the seed in that. That way, as it kind of grows and stretches, I can kind of backfill with a little
So
extra
smart.
media and kind of alleviate having to like stake it or
Yep.
you know eh, allow it to break or something. I did notice though, just running like a regular flat outside, what they'll do the long like creeping thing for like a little while when they're trying to like figure out the lighting, and
Right.
then if they're outside and they're really getting good light, they'll eventually just after a couple of days just boing. I mean, they'll stand straight up and
Mhm.
they'll all kind of just work themselves out, and then all of a sudden they'll just like regular old six pack.
I did all my transplants
Pretty
into the
interesting.
bed, but I still have it under 24 hours of light. I haven't fucked with the light cycle yet. My hope was to be able to get everything acclimated to the bed and then to take cuts and even my canopy out because I'm not monocropping. I've got like five, six different strains that are in there this room. So the things that are super, super strong right now, I'm going to take those tops and make those into clones. And then hopefully by that point, the GMO is going to continue to stretch. So even though it's shorter than everything else, when everything else stops stretching, it should continue to stretch even though it was flipped at the same time. So I'm trying to be a little bit more proactive in thinking about how the plants are going to react to not just the light, but also to each other. You know what I mean? Because sure, I could just throw one big monster plant in each side of the 4x4, so you could just have two beasts in there that fill out the whole thing. But I don't know, man. It's not as fun to me, and it takes a hell of a lot longer to veg those monsters than it would be to just stay within your plant count and flip things smaller, and then get that extra 2 weeks of the good lighting and rock out of
Well, yeah, I mean, you're trying to grow multi strains.
it. Yeah, because it's medicine for
You're
me,
gonna
so I
yeah,
need to
exactly.
get different things out of it. That's
You
why I
could
love getting smoke from
maximize.
everybody, is because I get to try different. I understand that it's genetics, and even if I go find someone else's sugar cane, it's not going to be like Select Phenos. I know that there is no, like Missy and Abolish and I were saying today, is the chances of running into another abolished OG plant genetically is going to be really, really hard to do, because it's 15 years old. It's definitely changed from the very beginning. So that's kind of a different thing. I don't know, but at the same time, it serves as medicine for me, and I can use my nose again, and I can know, ooh, this one's going to really be good for me. Now, I can't do it in the sense of say, well, this will be good for my back, or oh, this smells like it's a migraine recipe. Come on, I'm not that dude. But I know that if it smells good to me, then it means it's going to work for me. So,
Oh man, speaking of that, it works for migraine recipe. Yesterday, I had an awesome. Well, I thought it was an awesome topic. And then I just kind of excuse me. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Okay. Uh, so American Dad's on, and then they had this like I don't know. It was like a Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory like spoof, and it was like Tommy Two Tokes or something like that, and it was hilarious, right? And it was about this like weed factory, and they were going through this weed factory, right? and one of like the rooms that they would come into was this room that like you got hooked up to this chair and analyzed, and this thing got put on your head, and you're just like, man, you got analyzed, and it would like pick your strain, and it was kind of cool.
oh,
I was like,
nice,
hey, that would be
dude.
pretty cool if like somehow
I would
somebody they
get in
were
line
able
for
to,
that, man. I for
yeah,
sure
I'm
would.
like, I'm waiting for that one. And so that was kind of like, I actually kind of pulled a little topic out of that. I was like, that'd be kind of cool.
Red, if you'll entertain these fine folks in chat for a moment, I'm going to go grab something else, because the cottonmouth after the hash is strong in this one. I'll be right back.
Once I finish coughing there. Cheers, chat. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Thank you all very much. Let's see here. I guess I will do my round of shout outs. I see Rick Wolf and Johnny Bell found air pruning preserving the taproot enrichment plant. Yeah, I run from clone mostly. So I also run fabric pots. So lots of air pruning there going on. Daddy Red, cheers. Glad to see you tonight. Fresno Nerds, cheers. High and tight 420. What's going on? Miss D's Nugs, KGB. What's going on, everybody? Man, Dirty QWERTY, kayak going down the Marquette. That sounds awesome, honestly. Great Lakes Grows, cheers. What's going on? Hear that Abolished Farms is setting up a Grosky float coming up on July 5th, going down the Huron. Ann Arbor area. Anybody is in the Ann Arbor area on July 5th, hit up Abolish Farms. Sounds like a great time there. I'm gonna have to see what I'm doing on July 5th. I might have to do a little floating down the Huron River, at least meet up with some people, have a little smoke sesh. Scobo, what you think about that?
I'm letting you just go in and have a good time with chat, bro. That's half the show right there. Cheers, Johnny.
Cheers to Deer Camp too. See that?
Yeah, man.
Daddy Red shouts out to Deer Camp. Yeah,
So
man. I was just talking about the floating down the Huron there on the 5th. Abolish was shouting that out.
yeah, man. It's the sequence birthday. So we were talking about when you had seedlings, you didn't put them in all the way for the soil. You only filled it partially, and then after it grows a little bit, you come back through and backfill. So I'll tell you about my experience yesterday. After we went off the air on Bro Show Live, which is every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully, y'all checked it out. Uh, but I ended up going into my veg room and up potting. So I was going from the small square plastic half gallons, the ones that are like tapered down. I have like a love hate relationship with those things. I love them because they work really, really well by putting them in like a clone dome tray, so that you can, bottom water and encourage the growth, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I was transplanting them into the easy swaps. And what I was telling Abolish today is with the 4x8 bed, when I take a plant out of the soil, I don't like cut the soil out and pull the whole thing. I want to try to remove just the main stalk of the plant. Some of the roots are going to stay in the soil, and that's great because the worms need to eat too. So the problem becomes that when you are transplanting in, you're transplanting in much larger than what you just pulled out. So I was smart in the beginning when I got this grassroots 4x8 in that I didn't have either the money or the wherewithal to fill it to the top. But I knew that would be okay because I knew over time that the soil would build. So I've been using it for a year now and we've gotten pretty tall in there. So what I've begun doing is I bought a really large tote. And when I pull a plant out, I shake off all the dirt into this tote. And I also remove some when it starts getting high. So remove some of the soil, put it in a tote, put the lid on it. Open the tote up today. It's been 7 days, and it's cool because there is a lot of cover crop seed that is still in the soil that never got activated. So when I opened the lid, there's all these little seedling sprouts that are coming up through it and everything. So freeze frame. Go back before the show yesterday, and I got some worms and worm castings from my mother-in-law. She's had a worm bin for like 3 years, and all she's done is just throw paper at them and scraps, but she's never actually harvested the casting. So it's like mucky mud, man, but it's all good shit. So I went over there and I took a 5 gallon bucket, and they ended up taking like 2 gallons of just straight, worms and everything. So when I did my transplants out of these little half gallons into the easy swaps, I took some of this used soil, put it on the bottom. Then I took some insect frass, like we were talking about yesterday on Bro Show with Spartan Grown. Put a layer of that down that makes contact with the roots when I transplant into it from these half gallons. Then I took a scoop of the castings and worms, put that around the solo cup, and then I came back through with more of the used soil on top. Then I walked into the flower room and just took like a loose handful swipe of the straw that I have in there and put that on top of the pots. And my hope is that it's going to be the final key that I need to keep the easy swap pots a little bit more moist so they don't dry out so quickly. And I'll report back later. I'm never afraid to take a chance and do some not very well thought out shit. So here we go. Yeehaw.
No, I totally agree with keeping your soil covered with something, man. That was one of like the biggest setbacks with me not getting stuff in the ground as fast as I'd like is just because I didn't have enough like cover material to lay down as a mulch basically to keep the soil from drying out because I have a decently sunny spot. It gets sunny most of the day and it's just clay. clay, and when clay gets dry, it gets hard and it gets brittle and it gets dry fast. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, yeah, that's what I'm working with. But I'm optimistically working with the clay because I know that the clay is going to be an excellent source of minerals, and I just need the right biology and compost breakdown. I got a lot of organic matter that I'm working with, so I'm pretty confident that I'm going to be able to work with the clay. Not let the clay work against me, so to speak.
I see Peter Griffin assumed that I was short because of the way I sit. No, I sit this way because my back is destroyed. I'm like 6'4". Um, so yeah,
He's
it's
not
like
lying.
yeah. Um, Going back to that's a good one. So anyway,
And
I'm
I'm
going to
like
work
4 foot
with
six.
these. Yeah, Red is super short. M2 is super short. See, you would think that Spartan is, but he's not.
Yeah,
So
all you guys are tall. That's why I feel like I'm 4 foot 6 around you guys.
get that Sylvester Stallone. You need those lifts, man.
Shit, I need to get on some platform shoes to hang out with all you guys, or else I'm like standing everybody's belly button,
His
passing the
platform
joint
shoes,
around.
the teeth on them and shit. You know what I mean? Gold platforms, the goldfish in the heel.
Goldfish platforms.
Mhm.
So I'm rolling up another grape glee. I thought the other one was gonna chill me out. It kind of made me a little chatty, but I might mix a little.
What? Red Setter
Yeah,
Farm
I don't know.
Chatty. Holy shit.
I'm in a good mood. That's all good. Shit happens. I'm in a better mood knowing that it's not gonna be like a new fucking unit or some crazy shit like that. You know what I mean? Like it's always a bad day until you figure out, you know, what went wrong. So
Peter Griffin was asking in the chat, um, what strains help my back best. Um, I've had really good luck with the Keweenaw copper. I get good relief from the abolished. A lot of times, if I just go with, I hate to use the old terminology, but like the indica broadleaf, um, the more body buzz kind is what's helping me out. But that's why I'm still pumping seeds, man. I'm looking for that one thing that is going to be uh, not just CBD. I don't want to just do like a CBD or CBG. I have CBG, but I got to be honest with you. It's not just for my back. It's also the whole. I don't know. I guess we call it the entourage effect, but I would like to have the whole deal, not just the relief from the pain. Look at Red over there, one hand bandit. Strains that I
yeah,
also
I
like
gotta
though
join this hand, and
is
I wanted to put some of this
oh yeah,
before it avalanched on my keyboard.
yeah, dude. I
Usual,
fucked up. Remember last week I fucking spilled that shit. Epic
always.
fail.
All right, I'm gonna attempt to dribble a little bit onto a joint before. You know what? I'm just gonna put a little bit on the tray because I'm gonna attempt to put it on the joint. Yep, and do that. See, nobody could have seen that
No,
because it's off camera, but I didn't spill too much. But
that's
put on
all
the joint.
good. I got a wicked headband going on. It's nice.
So,
Great way
anyways,
to kind of wind down for the end of the night.
that's a good, maybe a good roll. All right. What do you think?
What do we still have here?
This thing's gonna burn like ass, isn't it? Mostly hash, a little bit of
No,
weed. You don't think so?
no, just all on how you roll it.
I'm gonna mute and try to roll this.
Get it, man. So we still have 65 people hanging out with us. Cheers. Oh, yeah, man.
Cheers, 65.
I still need to pop new beans, but man, I've just been so damn busy. you know, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't bite off more than I can chew because I want to give any genetics that I am popping my complete attention to make sure they get the best start in life so that, I can get the best gauge for what the strain has to offer for me. So I'm going to be trying some Blue Dream I got from Jack Greenstock. And I'm going to be trying some Silver Squirrel from Silver Squirrel Farms. And that's an old skunk cross too. So lately, we've been playing around with the Skunk One, which when I grew it out, it's got more of like the sweet skunk smell rather than the ultra dank one. So I'm going to sift a little bit deeper and see what comes through. I know that the old terps do the thing for me. So that's what I'm shooting for. So what is going to be next for you?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I got my prop room cleaned up because it's one of the things I do before I go out of town every time is I chop back my mothers. I try to reduce the amount of feeding that they take. I make sure that I like get my clones taken.
That's a good
Usually
tip.
clones are just on autopilot. As much stuff that can kind of go on autopilot as possible, I try to get taken care of. So like clones, day 1 through 13 or whatever, they're kind of on autopilot. So like I make sure that those get taken, and then the mothers, they're you know getting topped, so I take a little bit more off of them, and I do a heavy pruning. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of additional media, cocoa in my circumstance, to kind of add a little bit of you know, untouched, moisture holder, moisture barrier, I suppose. Excuse me. The roots haven't really gotten to it yet, and then obviously some stuff that needs to be up potted, I'll up pot it, and by up
Right.
potting it you got like a nice little buffer
You're
of
definitely because
moisture barrier,
you're not filling out the pot yet with all those roots,
right?
so it's going to stay moist for an extra day or two.
You get an extra day or two on your water cycle immediately. So I like to do that, and it kind of helps out whoever. In my case, my father-in-law was helping out, kind of give a little bit. It's actually he's watering his own plants. It's actually one of my patients, so he's coming in and watering his own plants at this case, which is kind of sure probably gratifying for him, which is kind of cool. I'd hope. Those so I'm very thankful and worked out just fine. Fortunately, I keep it easy. Jax makes it simple to just keep the nutrients in a reservoir as if I was just feeding my plants water. Like the only thing that I have to do
You're not
aside,
getting any
I can't
buildup in
just.
anything.
What's that?
Are you getting a lot of buildup in between runs? Like after one run, that it just gets really scuzzy in the lines and everything's got to get broke
No,
down. And
no,
no,
no. I mean the usual like algae
right?
and stuff like that. I don't get any like nutrient residue. Um, just algae and stuff like that.
Okay.
Typical bio waste, I suppose. Bacteria waste and things like that. I don't get a pH drift, nothing like that.
Nice.
So what I'm able to do is leave a bunch of 5-gallon buckets and say, here, just water the plants. You can't overwater them. It's cocoa. Just go ahead and water them.
Right.
Just don't underwater them. Wait for a little bit of runoff. As soon as you see it coming out of the bottom, water slow. And it's a very simple thing. I feel like that's why a lot of people have issues with other people,
They get
monitoring
in a
their plants
hurry.
and things. There's too many numbers and tasks and things to. If you got to mix this and this and this, I like to be able to just leave it for them. If I could leave you 5 gallon buckets of water and just say,
You'd be
here, water
better
it with
off. I
straight
mean, no
water.
plant is going to be hurt by missing. If you have to be gone for 10 days, and you feed your plants before you go, you depending on what your medium and everything else and a zillion other things, but let's just try to boil this down. It could get to the point where someone could just be able to come in through and do 2 or 3 cycles of just straight water, and it's not really going to hurt you. You can plan how to do this. You could also set up multiple reservoirs and get smart timers. You know what I mean? That can be, like a 28-day timer. where you could set it on to have, like say that I have three reses. You know what I mean? It could be done. You could even have the injectors in there to mix the nutrient at the right parts per million and fully automate that shit with some fuzzy logic.
Yeah, ideally. My room actually used to be automated. I took the automation out. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. I got rid of the automation because I was like, well, I don't want to build a whole bunch of automation. I want to just get plants out at the farm, and I was just gonna anticipating moving everything out there. So I started moving the reses out there and the plants out there first, and then started building on top of that out there, and just kept the reses and the shit out there. You know what I mean? Never really brought them
Right.
home. Just started hand watering here at the house and just kind of kept habit at it. And in doing so, it made sure that I'm in the room checking on my mother's every single day. Like there's a difference. The mother plants is it's like the genetic stock. I failed crops happen. Like the crop that I'm currently running that could have potentially had 100 degrees the last 6 days and potentially no lights because I still want to get into that. The Nanolux lights that I run, they have this they have like a long temperature sensor probe that dangles down into your canopy, and if your canopy is you can set the temperature, in my case 85 degrees or above, the lights begin to dim. So at
Okay.
85 degrees they'll dim 1% or 10% or whatever it is excuse me, until they get back up to temperature. And then if it gets to, I think, 90 or 95 degrees, the lights will actually shut off.
That's crazy.
So in my case, the room's been 100 degrees. So the
In
lights
the dark.
shouldn't even be coming on in my case. So
Right.
if it has been 100 degrees in there for the last, let's just say 6 days, let's just say this happened since the power went out,
Sure.
you know, back the other day, then the lights haven't even been on, which is fine, I guess, because then they haven't been like really getting hot, and drying
Right.
out and all that other stuff. They've been
Or,
in a
I
dark
mean, the
cycle.
other thing is it could have been where the damn thing breaks and it's on. So then your plants
Right.
actually flip back to re-veg, and that's where you're really fucked
Yeah,
because
I
it'll
definitely
never
don't
be
want
right.
that.
You're
Right.
just like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Dude, yeah. So
It's like, oh, we're not even gonna talk about that. Bad hoochoo.
I'm really hoping that they're just kind of like, all right, a long dark period, that's cool. We're gonna come out of it, and they're just gonna take an extra week to run.
What day was
Instead
it?
of
It was
finishing at
less than 30.
63, 65, they're finishing at 74. What's that,
Was it
man? I'm
was a
sorry.
day less than 30 for that room?
Yeah, it was no, it was like today's like 32. So we're like in the
Eh,
middle of 30. 30 like happened in the last
We'll
couple
find
days.
out. Stay tuned.
Yeah,
Right.
we're gonna find out. I mean, the Apollo's not known to Herm. The Death Star's not known to Herm. The Citrique and the Strawberries and Cream are exotic genetics, and this is my first
So
time running them out there. So
hard to say. Yeah.
they've never hermed on me before, but I've only ran them one other time here at home. Um, so I don't know, man. We'll see what happens with those ones. Then there's the Keeper Candy Grapes. Excuse me. That is out there, and that's an archive. So we'll see what happens with that one. It's never hermed on me before either, but it's also the first time being ran out there too.
Right.
So I see Granddaddy
Earlier,
Perp in the chat. That's pretty
somebody
sweet.
asked me what my best strain that I have is. As far as medicine goes, um, man, I really just like GG4. It's reliable. It does a number of things for me. Um, it's just a consistent high that I never get burned out on. But having said that, um, I'm always looking for something else. So I have things in my garden that I have yet to flower yet. Doc Dankenstein shared his genetics with me. So I have Oreos, I have GMO, and I also have one that is called Wedding Punch. And having been able to smoke all three of those, holy shit, I am really excited. And the flavors on those are just out of this world. If I can come anywhere near with what he's being able to pull out of those genetics, it's definitely going to park a spot and something's going to move. So It's exciting for me. I've really been a big fan of GMO. Um, if I found it in concentrate form when I would go to cups and events and things like that, I was always picking that. Or if there was like some blueberry flavor, anything blue, those, here's something I should try. I should try to find some kind of blueberry GMO that could be like super money for me. It might taste crazy, but the combined effects would be great. So, what's something interesting that you guys have going on in the chat in your gardens? Let's see what we got here. Talking about mimosa.
Dude, I miss a good GG4.
Yeah, it's
My
just
my
consistent,
buddy
man.
used to grow it, and
Yeah,
I
see,
never
check
kept
it out.
enough of that around.
MMP Nations Creations, shout out. And to you as well, Head Case. I see both of you have joined us. I love GG4. It helps with my spasms. I'm paralyzed from the, yeah, man, from the ribs down. And see, that's what I need is I have uh, random like spasms and like neurological damage for it, nerve damage and shit. So it's like getting randomly zapped throughout the day all the time. So my solution to it is just to stay high as fuck as I can and still remain very productive. Yeah, I bet Blueberry Headband is my absolute favorite abolished. I used to use that for a long time for work. Um, working on my feet all day. It was a great one because you get like the energy of it from the headband, but you get the calming side and the good mood from the DJ Short Blueberry. So definitely.
See, that was what I loved about DJ Short Blueberry, but I couldn't smoke it all the time because it would
Really,
make me lethargic,
just sleep all the time.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
very, very sedating, but man, is it a happy plant.
yeah.
And I that sounds good, man. Blueberry headband sounds like I'm not familiar with headband too much, but
You
I
know, one
am familiar
that
with
was it sounds terrible. Is I grew a strain called False Teeth, and that is a Dungeon Vault Genetics. Bought it as a clone from dispensary on 8 Mile, and took it home and was like, well, fuck it, let's see what it does. And it wasn't big. It was more of like what I would consider like the new school kind of plants where they give you really, 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 really good bud. They they're not uh, they're not like big, robust, lush plants that are like Jurassically taking over your space. They're more of like, oh, here, man, take this really, really good weed, but don't take very much of it with you. So I was really disappointed on the yield from it, but the smoke was like half a joint, and if I did that as a wake and bake, I was probably going to pass out in the chair and get like some serious sleep. So I know what you mean about having a strain that you can't smoke all the time. I have to be careful with the Keweenaw Copper too. If I grab that right now, I'll be out like a light. So got to have that for pain, man. You got to have something to, if nothing else, just to let you sleep is, sometimes the biggest blessing. Cheers, Cody, out there. I see you.
the candy grapes that I kicked was a sleeper. Um not a sleeper in the fact that it would creep up on you, but like a sleeper in the fact that it would make you go to sleep. It
It was like a sleeper hold.
like halfway through joint, like you're hitting the bowl and
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah, man.
it made you do the nod, man. It was
I had
very,
that with
very, very sleepy weed.
yeah. The very first thing I ever grew was papaya, and not like the good papaya. This is like the old shitty ass papaya, the like Nirvana one. So it was like it was a small plant, and I was a shitty grower, which makes for a really bad combination. But the smoke that it gave me was like it's like narcotic, dude. It was just knock you out. I can remember when I first harvested it, because before that, you're at the mercy of what you can source from other people as to what you're going to smoke before you grow your own. So, a lot of my friends were more of the not body stone, they wanted the mind stone. So when it came time to get medicine for me to start getting some relief and get more than like 2 hours of sleep a night, uh, I stumbled into this papaya and it would just wreck me. I remember passing out like on the carpet, petting the dog and shit. Like, whoa, dude, this is good stuff. So, you know,
Gotta love that. When the
yep.
weed puts you out while you're petting the dog.
Oh yeah, dude, he just comes over and chills out next to you. He's like, hey.
Dude, weed naps are great, man.
Yes, they
Midday,
are.
yes, very much. Yeah,
Little siesta.
yeah, you know, a good narcotic weed is necessary sometimes,
You
man.
got to keep a jar of it if you can. You know, if you're
Yeah,
that kind of person that you find that the Tylenol just ain't gonna cut it for you. You know,
you
or
know, so yeah,
find some really good hash, man. Hash is, dude, hash is reliable. Or if you can make or source some kind of fico, you know, fico will knock you out unless you're abolish farms and you fuck around and make sour melon fico. You get to the racing around and stuff like that rather than chilling out and going to sleep. You're just telling me the story about the
yeah,
day. I
it's
was
kind of
laughing my
crazy
ass
that
off.
it held the terps like that, and
Yeah.
you know, that's good. It's very good. That's a that's a good stimulant, I'd suppose. You know, good
Johnny's
natural
asking
stimulant
about
there.
anything from Barney's Farm. I grew out Barney's Farm, um, the blue cheese, and also pineapple chunk. Pineapple chunk was a long time ago.
I was
The blue
interested
cheese
in
was a new
that
ones.
breeder a long time ago.
Oh yeah, they had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, totally. I was searching out like a pink strain specifically,
Oof, that's rough.
and I think they had some kind of a purple or something. This is many many years ago. I want to say it was probably in High Times or something that I had seen it. Most of what I knew was in High Times for the longest time.
Man, you
Uh,
know,
I didn't Instagram to me didn't exist for a long long time. Even after like Instagram had always been around for me, even when I was growing, but that really got onto it and learned about bunch all these new strains. Like I didn't know about cookies. People told me about cookies that were smoking. I didn't realize how big cookies was. I didn't understand that it was like a
what?
huge brand and all that stuff.
Oh
Oh,
no,
dude, I
not the
had
brand. No, not the
no idea
brand. No,
about
no, 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 no,
cannabis
no.
like
There's no
culture and
connection
stuff for a
between
real long time.
the. Yeah, that's different. I look at it like
Yeah,
this,
a
man.
lot of those strains. That's why I have all these throwback strains because that's really all I knew for so long. You know.
Uh, New shit that I like. Well, obviously, I'm getting blown away by like most things. Um, I really enjoy Dosi Do, and I think that and the sour garlic cookies that Mitten Canico grows. The smell on that is just, whew, dude. So those are things that some people aren't really impressed with. And to go back to my story is when I was over at Select Finos, I have the sugar cane. He specified that it is the non-keeper cut. He calls it the spicy one. And so when I smell it, I'm like, oh my god. So I was talking to his dude, and I said, it's just, here's the thing. Not everybody is going to keep the same seed out of the pack. It's not really important sometimes. It's the fact that if there's five of us and we all grab a pack of this shit, that between all five of us, we can each find a keeper in our pack. It may not be the same because we might not have the same taste and it may not be the same genetics, but the genetic probability is really, at the end of the day, what you're shooting for on when it comes to a pack of seeds is the genetic promise or the breeder's name and standard, and you know certain things that you've come to know and love from them get knocked together. You know, like Red's a huge archive dude. um I don't know, man. I sometimes it's the shit you never heard of, like the headlights. I like that, dude. I like it. It's got the weird flavor to it, and it's a smash up between Headband and Northern Lights. Most people would just be like, yeah, whatever, it's cool. But if it serves a purpose in my garden, then I'm going to keep it. But when something comes along better, I'll, you know, I'm not going to Spartan kick it in the sense of like, go on, get stamping at it like a cat, but more of like the Viking funeral. May the last jar go down with reverence for the plant that was. Cheers. I mean, we got hanging out
Cheers.
still. We still got
Cheers, everybody.
65 people hanging out. We didn't lose anybody through our
And
ramblings.
cheers,
In
65.
fact, Debbie Daly said she loves y'all stories.
Love y'all.
Meaning you. Not me.
Dude, so Archive, yeah, I'm excited to get their femline, their most
Dude,
recent
I'm excited
round
for you
of
to get their
fems.
fem line.
Dude,
Hint, hint, nudge,
so
nudge.
now that I got my prop room finally cleaned up and I got a bunch of stuff, everything's no longer taking up space in there, outdoors, outside.
Right.
I called a whole bunch of things, including old mothers, and took new mothers that are going to
How's
be
it
taking up
feel, man?
less
How's it feel
space.
to get that shit up out of there?
Excellent. I do it every time I go on vacation, so it's very, very. I'm not saying that I take clones or only clean up my mom's once a year when I go on vacation or anything like that, but it's I do it periodically when I need to do it. But really, like taking a full reset and like you know knowing that I have a few days now when I am home to like not really like I can kind of hands off for a couple of days when they don't need water like twice a day. They can get water once every maybe 36 to 48 hours right now, which is kind of nice, at least for the next week. Um, so yeah, that feels good. And there's actually some space left and there's some plant count left between us to be able to pop a couple seeds, which is kind of nice. So I think I'm gonna start throwing some of these fems into action.
I got to do it, man. I
Hopefully,
just got to. You have to like shit or get off the pot. You can't just hold these seeds. And I'm talking to myself more so than you.
well, I
Is
have a lot of other seeds that are more than welcome to be hopefully find new homes elsewhere because really I want to hunt what's going on in the archive range, which that one is the rose gold, which is the pineapple express and moonbow. The Tahiti lime, I'm really excited about, which is
dude, if you
lemon
find
muffin
some lime
lime.
terps, that could be money hash, man.
Yeah,
I would love it.
I'm really
Oh,
looking for something
I've never had lime
that's
hash.
less dozy and more lime. So anyways, dude, the lime on the streak right now is just that room because it was 100 degrees in there when you walked. It
Ooh.
just smelled like lime cleaner in this room, dude. It was
Oh.
just
So how many
like I
different?
was talking
How many
last
did you
week
pop?
how Apollo was overpowering in that room, and I was talking about the 4 pack and the 4 pack,
Yeah.
dude, going in there when it's 100 degrees, dude, just like key lime pie. How many did I pop? I
Yeah.
popped of the Citric, I don't know, like three, I don't know, four. And that was only because I think there was a couple males involved
Okay.
and another one that kind of runs it out.
But
So
one of those is gonna be carrying that lime turd for that, for sure.
it's
That's
very
sweet.
limey.
So let's go back to cookies for a second. I
Yeah.
have always known people that have grown exceptional cannabis. You know what I mean? Once I stopped being like 14 and a kid. But so I got to try a lot of these strains early on in their hype days. Not like pre-hype. I'm not that cool. Um, but I've had a lot of the things, and one of the things that knocked me out is I got forum cut Girl Scout cookies later. So I had tried cookie crosses, but never like the true GSC. So then the jar of the forum cut came through, and it was like a game changer for me. Because before I was like, it's cool, it's no 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 no. The forum cut was exceptional. I said, holy shit, man, damn, great flavor, great high, was sweet. So it's not just a matter of trying samples from other growers. Sometimes it's you have to try that one pheno that somebody selected. And how do you like that as a way to tie a bow on the whole genetics talk by reversing the name? Kind of clever, eh?
You know what? I think a big part of the fact that I didn't really try a lot of different strains was I was kind of limited to what I grew. I didn't know any growers.
Right.
I knew like maybe one or two. They were my homies, and we like co-op sort of together, but we kind of grew the same stuff anyways. Um, that was a tough one, man. Yeah, like I'd never really got dispensary weed. Like maybe I did like a couple of times, and then I got some clones and started doing my own thing. I mean, I had been growing for a real long time since '08
Purple Big.
medical began, and there were no dispensaries really. So I was just
Just
kind of
hot ass
limited. And like I said,
gymnasium
man,
lights.
I always considered like strain naming like bougie and things. Not that it
No,
is,
man.
because it's not. It's important, but that's not what I thought it was then. When I was younger, I was just like, it's fucking weed, whatever. Weed's weed, and I was one of those guys, really. But it's not. I mean, cannabis is the entourage effect and all that. I know all that now. It's just I was uneducated at the time. But when it was just weed, I just had my own supply and I didn't really care. I didn't care what cookies was. I didn't care what OG Kush was. I liked
But
what I
did you
had, and
notice a difference in the packs, basically, or was it all just kind of tasting the same? Sometimes it was dense, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it burned
oh, I
okay,
was just so
sometimes it
limited on
was
what I could get. Like
right.
if I could get, like if I wasn't growing my own, it was either downtown Detroit Brown, or it was, whatever blend of Kush was called Kush that
Right.
week, and that's all it was.
That was a
And it,
rage for a
and it still
while.
had like probably had seeds and shit too. It was just green. That was really the only difference. And then
I
once I was
wonder
able
how
to
many
just start
people are
kind of
still
growing my
holding on
own.
to OG Kush, the real deal.
Oh, dude,
I
I
wonder.
love good, and that's kind of why I'm holding on to that candy grapes, is because it's got that it's got that OG gas to it, which is nice because I do like that. I thumb through them all the time. The most recent one I was doing was Wi-Fi OG. I was just thinking about that today. Actually, it was the Wi-Fi OG that I used to grow.
You miss it,
Never really yielded much. I get like 3 ounces on a plant at best, and
right?
they would be huge plants, dude. And
It's that internodal spacing that you're like,
yeah,
you fucking branchy bitch.
and the buds just weren't there. And I
Hmm.
was maybe I could have dialed it in if I held on to it longer. I
Yep.
could have dialed it into my production. But I ran it for a few years, like here when before I had like a controlled environment or anything. And I don't know, I enjoyed that OG. Other people enjoyed it too. There's a couple of patients that really needed it, so I held on to it. And we talk about that often. And that was
You
one of
have some
those like yield
Canorado,
limiter
right? As well.
strains. What was it?
Don't you have some more Canorado that you can work
I
through as well?
have like the Grape Glee is a Canorado.
Right.
And I have some more packs of Canorado that I would definitely be interested in thumbing through.
Well, you got the peanut butter souffle
I have
one with
so many different
finest.
phenos of like grape pie. I do have a pack of grape pie that I think is more meant for somebody else than me. I think the Sunday driver is more meant for somebody else than me. I think that, and I'm holding on to them mainly just in case I'm able to possibly go commercial, like legit commercial. That way I have my own stock
Oh, please keep the rainbow, man.
of those
The
strains. You know
rainbow
what I mean?
driver
Well,
is
the
the
Rainbow
shit.
Driver I think is gonna be held on to my stock currently as
Head
best as I
stash.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely like going in the personal head stash department, things like that. So
So
abolish.
you
Stop
got to
calling
come to
shit I
parties.
like. I know,
I
man. And only because I just think that there's better stuff coming around the line. So that's the reason I call stuff. I mean, the PB souffle. I do wish I didn't get rid of that because it was very unique compared to some of the things that I have coming down the line. But I have so many of those other seeds. I know it'll come again, and then I'm not going to
know.
get rid of it that time.
I would love to play
Um,
with more fem beans personally. You know what I mean? And just, you know, get into that and find something I really like. I've wanted to look at Canorado, but the problem is when you look at a Canorado menu, there's like 312 strains that they've done. You're
he
like,
just dropped a Gushers line also
yeah,
if
you're
you want
just
to
like,
add
holy
like another
shit,
like
man.
200 strains to it.
I
And
know.
I mean, call it what you want. I mean, people call it like pollen chucking or whatever, but I mean, dude, like there's
But think of
I think that
the
it's more that I think he does a little bit more. I think he's got some good mothers and things that he works with.
I've
And
tasted enough of the flower that I like what people are selecting out of what they're finding in their packs.
I haven't found anything bad in his packs
There
either.
you go.
Like I haven't
See,
found like the negative traits that you're looking You're like,
Like,
ah,
this
you
is
know.
fucking horrible. This thing looks like shit and blah blah blah. No, you're not seeing
So the grape glee grows, strangely with internodal spacing and stuff. But they're little buds, but then they just like bulk out and they go crazy. This last round when I changed my light bulbs, they got a lot bigger. They got a lot more purple too. They changed color a lot.
that. Man, I can't wait for you to get that all set up, man. Just
Yeah,
rocking.
that's gonna be a fun one to dial in. It's
Yeah.
tough because I'm really trying to break away from the scrog net. So
So
I
you're
like
just using the bigger
to.
bamboo, the 5 footers,
Well, yeah, so I like using like those steel, whatever they are. They're probably aluminum, but
rerods.
they're like coated in plastic, just
Yeah.
because the bamboo is, yeah, it's wood, and I try to keep away from a lot of like biodegradable materials inside the grow, just pathogenic wise and things like
Okay,
that. So,
that makes
anyways,
sense.
um, I think I'm gonna move a lot more towards staking style plants and working with plants that more or less like that type of a style more today, specifically trying to manage like what should have been moving 18 plants should have taken me no more than like 25 minutes, let's say,
Right,
right? A minute a plant plus a couple of other minutes,
right.
you're right. It took me hours to move 18 plants because there were scrog nets and no stakes, and I had to actually do the staking. But the fact is, like, had it have been a stake scenario, it probably would have already been done because I wouldn't have had to deal with the scrogging in
Right.
this scenario, right?
Well, I
So
mean, and you could also go to like Harbor Freight and you can buy those small carpeted movers, the little wooden thing that's got the 4 wheels on it. And you could set those underneath all your pots, which would not only open it up for air to be able to flow underneath your pots, but it would make it easy if you had to evacuate the premises or, move it for cleaning or whatever. So,
speaking of that, I think that's definitely on my list. Is getting I still don't have a little flatbed. I need a little flatbed cart, man. Something I'm able to move at least two plants at a time with. Not that it's far, but it is like it's across a hallway and some
make
other
sure
things,
that you
room
get
to
the
room.
wagon style. Don't get the kind that's like a wheelbarrow. Even the one that I don't
Oh
know if
yeah, I
you know
know
what
what
I'm
you're saying.
talking about. Get the wagon one with the actual tires. I just bought one, and the sides just go in and lock together, so you can make it a flatbed as well. It's a black one
Yeah, I know what
from
you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna make it. It's not that it's it, but like bending down, picking up the plant, and most in today's scenario, I moved the saucer with it, because it was already doing. Usually, I just go from veg into a clean new saucer that's already ready to go in the bloom room, and I get rid of the old veg saucer and clean it out. But today, it was just a quick transfer of plants, so it was uh it was kind of a nightmare because everything was flimsy because of the scrogging. And normally, I mean, he could have had access to get in there. And I guess anybody could have had access. But then again, you're putting refrigerant, and now we got the refrigerant that we're dealing with, and all of that stuff is
Right.
really the issue and
You don't really want to
that's
monkey
leaking
around
out in
with
there.
that.
So I really wanted to get them out. And then the heat issue is the other thing.
Yeah.
So get the room turned back on, and big fortunate that I was behind in the other side because there's nothing going in there right now, and I was able to flip flop.
So what time are you starting in the morning with it?
What's that?
What time are you starting in the morning? Going at it again?
Going at it. I usually go at it when the sun, somewhere between sunshine rise and 8 a.m. I'm usually up by 8 at the latest.
Oof.
8:30. I'm drinking my coffee, doing my wake and bake. Usually taking care of patient orders for the first couple hours of the day, and then a lot of like paralysis by analysis for the first like couple of hours of the day. That's what wake and bake's for. Just kind of like sit there and I plot and strategize, how I'm gonna handle multitasking, whatever, this, that, and the other. And then, planning for the occasional like patient order that pops
Catastrophe.
through, or catastrophe,
Yeah.
or going out and realizing that I forgot to water this, and then I have to, oh shit, take 10 minutes and go do go do that, so there's always those little things that pop in.
Shout out to the Red Setter Farm Animal Activity Center and skating rink.
Yeah, petting zoo opening soon.
Petting zoo. The raccoon's name is Bitey. Don't ask him why.
Rocky Raccoon
Oh,
stepped
Rocky
into his
Raccoon.
room.
There you go. Red, we've ran over our usual sign off time. We just got
Nice,
so
man.
deep
Not
in the
too
cut,
bad.
man. See, you went from vacation to Dante's third level of hell and all's well that ends well. Now you've had some hash, we've had some laughs, and we've gotten to see some cool ass people in the chat.
Hey, man, it's like they say there are days and there are days between. And sometimes you just have days between. And you know what? That's what happens when you deal with the dark and the light, man. That's the yin and the yang. I had a great weekend and then you step out of it and I had to work my ass off to step into tomorrow, and that's just get into tomorrow and the plants are good. Like I said, man, one casualty and that's it. We'll see what happens. We'll see if there's some seeds. Maybe there'll be some seeds at the end of this crop, but I'll let
Those
this
could
crop
be
go
money,
through.
dude.
I'm just
Those
not gonna
those
put
seeds
something through.
could be the
Hey man,
next
there's
fucking
strawberries and
sour
cream in
diesel.
there.
Could be the next sour
I mean,
diesel.
there's some
You never
really
know.
good stuff in there right now. The Apollo 13, I wouldn't mind if, whatever happened to happen. Whatever. It's a crop, there's another crop waiting to go in once the air conditioner gets fixed. So once the AC gets fixed, I have some flow and some other stuff ready to go into bloom. So that, like I said, they were going to go in today. So hopefully, the sooner the better, of course, but they're just going to be bigger plants. I'll top them. I'll let them bush out. If I have to, I'll add some more cocoa when they go into flower. And,
Sure. Be flexible.
yeah, I'll be flexible with it. If I mean, dude, if it takes a month and I have to, I'll pot them into 5 gallons. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
That's the worst case scenario.
right.
And then and round two is a month behind, but shit happens and you get a month behind sometimes, and this is why, because your AC goes down and you have to shut down a room. So
Yeah.
you can't run the room without it. I don't have. Because I'm not going to affect the integrity of the room by putting an exhaust or anything. I'm just going to get the AC fixed. So that's it.
Yeah, because that's a one bun that can't be undone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not
So
until like it's something that I have to like put in for commercial reasons or something.
exactly. Do you want to give any shout outs to Daddy Red's still hanging with us too? Look at him.
Hell yeah, man, I do. I want to give a shout out to Daddy Red. I want to give a shout out to Daddy Red, Mama Red, in-laws, everybody who helped out this past weekend, get us through, allow Miss Red and myself to go on what was actually our honeymoon. It was our scheduled honeymoon. We were supposed to go to the Rolling Stones concert on Wednesday, stay at the Renaissance Center downtown. We had rooms booked. I actually have tickets. I have paper tickets sitting in safe space, and that got canceled. But we were fortunate to be able to still keep our booking up at the secret spot up north. So we went and stayed there, and we had I guess, our early honeymoon, I suppose.
That's
Yep, because
awesome,
we
man.
still haven't gotten hitched.
Yeah.
So that'll be happening hopefully in July or September, or hopefully sometime in 2020.
Just
Most
because it rains at the
importantly.
picnic doesn't mean that you shouldn't enjoy the food.
Damn straight.
Damn straight. I would like to give a shout out to Abolish Farms, to Miss Cantaloupe, to Select Fino, and to Narwhal UP. I really appreciate everyone's hospitality and their dank today. And it's definitely been a really, really cool ass day. So hopefully you've enjoyed the conversation. If not the one on screen, then the one in chat. Uh, Catch us again. We'll be back next Monday at 11. Until then, later.